Sorry about that. It's that time of year, you know, the allergies and everything really get going this time of year. So you got to be careful. You got to make sure you're taking really good care of yourself because this is National Public Health Week, all right? This is the first week of April. This is how it gets started off, and that's why, you know, I talked to our mayor, and I said, you know, I got this tickle in my throat, and he says, I got just the guy to cure it. So this particular program, we're going to be focusing on the health of Newington and what we can do to make sure everybody stays healthier and things that we need to be watching out for and a little prevention for the month of April. You know, that's why I think I'll be doing okay. Vicky's not here tonight, so when Vicky Rosencrantz isn't here, it's not good. Hi, Mr. Mayor, how are you?
Good. It's not contagious, is it?
Oh, you shook my hand now. Good night, everybody. God bless you. We should have that little antivirus, so the antibacterial soap. Right. You brought a guest with you tonight. Who is this?
I brought Charles Brown, the director of the Central Connecticut Health District, to which Newington belongs. Charles is the second director. He succeeded Paul Hutchin, who retired 2 years ago, I think it was.
A little over 2 years ago.
A little over 2 years ago. And this being National Public Health Week, I thought, what better guest to have to join us?
Well, thank you.
Well, I tell you, I mean...
And tell us about your tie. Can you get a close-up of the tie?
Yeah, take a look at this tie if we can. Come in on his tie. Okay. This is a man, fortunately, has a good sense of humor, I think.
With a name like Charlie Brown, you got to have a good sense of humor.
So what's your tie?
So my tie is actually a flu vaccine. So it shows the little antibodies around the circles for the coronavirus that actually attach to keep you from catching the flu. So it's got a little syringe and everything here at the bottom. So as a public health person, you get a lot of ties. As we were talking about before, I've got an anthrax tie and a foodborne outbreak tie. But I figured tonight, flu tie was probably the way to go.
All right.
I'm glad I didn't go with my anthrax tie.
I'd hate if you clash diseases like that.
No, that wouldn't be good at all. You know, it was interesting. We were talking off the air a little bit about your own background and how you got to the position that you are now. And it was a pretty wild trip that you took. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are today, different positions you've held and such.
Yep. So when I got out of high school, I actually joined the Air Force, and I spent 8 years as an aircraft mechanic. Bounced around all over the world, did Desert Storm. Actually, at 8 years, I had to make a decision whether I re-upped one more time, and when you go over 10 years, you pretty much are in for 20. And what I wanted to do was get my college done. So I went home to Florida, where I'm from. Started going to college, ended up meeting my wife down there. She was originally from Connecticut. So we came back up here to Connecticut to start a family right after 9/11.
Wow.
So I was lucky enough to get a job doing bioterrorism preparedness planning for local health departments using my military background, and really fell in love with public health. The passion that people really felt for protecting their communities really wore off on me. So I actually went back to college, got my degree from CCSU, got a master's in public health degree from UConn, and ended up actually being the executive director for the Connecticut Association of Directors of Health for a while. And then when Paul Hutchin retired, there was a position open, and what I wanted to be was a health director. So I actually interviewed, got the position, and I've been there for about 2.5 years now.
So as the Director of Health for Central Connecticut Health District, how many different towns do you cover?
We cover 4 towns. So we cover Rocky Hill, Newington, Berlin, and Wethersfield. So about 98,000 people all told.
Now, would you say that community, in all those communities there, we pretty much share the same things? I mean, if we have an outbreak of something in Newington, is it probably also going to be hitting those surrounding towns?
Well, that's one of the things. Diseases really don't respect borders, so they actually cross over pretty easily. And the communities of the 4 towns that we cover actually work very well together. They have very similar demographics. And we've been working together for about 20 years since the health district was formed. We just celebrated our 20th anniversary here last year.
That's right. A very nice dinner at Timberland, was it? Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Very nice.
Now, what kind of relationship is the mayor? How often do you deal with Charlie?
Whenever there's a good time to be had, pretty much. I mean,
I guess you guys work hand in hand on flu clinics.
I help out at flu clinics as a member of the community emergency response team, and we provide volunteer assistance to the flu clinics when they're held in the fall in the different towns. They have us getting people in the right place, helping them with their forms. They don't trust us with needles yet, though. Understandable in my case. So that's it, and that's how I first met Charlie. He looked like somebody in charge when I
was
showed
about
up
to say, I think if he came at me with a needle, I would just roll up the sleeve. Go ahead, just get it over with.
Well, the military background helps.
Yeah, and I want to thank you for all those years with our military. You must have seen some incredible stuff, especially Desert Storm. You said you were over there then?
Yep.
I mean, that's a whole different level of watching out for people's health, right?
Yeah, it was a whole different thing then as far as that was concerned. The good thing about the military is that it gives you the opportunity to kind of see where you want to go in life. And it really gave me the opportunity to really get my college done that I wouldn't have had an opportunity to do so. So really proud of my service. It gave me a lot of good background as far as supervisory experience and things of that nature. So people I work with, they let it slide a little bit when I go into the military mode, but you know, it's all good.
And how many people answer to you?
Our office, we've got about 14 people between full-time and part-time staff. We have 5 different offices in our 4 towns. We have 2 offices here in Newington, both in the town hall and then over in the senior center. We have an office over there. So we usually have a sanitarian assigned to each town, and then we have our main office, our central office, is in the Weathersfield Town Hall.
So what's a sanitarian?
A sanitarian is a registered sanitarian. It's a type of regulatory official. So they're the ones that make sure that the food restaurants get inspected, the food service establishments. They do, your water, sewer regulation along those lines, follow up on complaints. They're our basic field staff. And they're the foundation of really making sure that public health in the community is really taken care of, that people can assure that they have safe water, safe food, and things are getting taken care of so that they can live a healthy life.
So if I had a concern and I called like the mayor's office or whatever and said, I was in a local, restaurant establishment or something, and it, excuse me, didn't seem that clean or whatever, and then he will go directly to you?
No, the mayor can come to us, or we actually have phone numbers where they can call any of the town offices, call our central office, and we take complaints and follow up on those, usually within 24 hours to make sure that we can get back and take care of the situation. Our staff also go out, depending upon the type of restaurant or establishment, they're inspecting them up to 4 or 5 times a year.
Do you do like surprise, undercover, phantom diner type of stuff to kind of observe things where they don't know you're there? Or?
Not phantom diner type stuff. More we do show up on their doorstep and
they know it's. I mean, you show them identification.
They know it's us.
Okay.
We've got our sanitarians have their uniform. They show up there.
Hazmat suits. A little problem here today.
not so much. I mean, most of the time it's just going back and looking at how people do things every day. And that's really what we want to do. We want to make sure that this is nothing special, that they're not doing something differently for us than they would be doing any other day of the year. Like I said, we go in 4 or 5 times a year. And what we just want to be sure of is that they're doing the right thing the other 360 days a year. So we inspect, we make sure that they know what they're doing, that they understand the risk of food handling, that they have the proper equipment, and it's functioning properly. So that's a lot of what our sanitarians do out there, and when they're going through their inspections. They're just making sure that the people that are running the establishments that are certified to handle food are doing it properly when we're not there. And if they're not, then we follow up with them, we train them, we can go through, close a restaurant if we have to, and we generally don't have to. Most people, as they go through, they're doing the right thing, and we just make sure that they do it in the right manner.
You said something interesting a couple of seconds ago, certified in food handling?
So you actually have to be a qualified food operator. So each one of the restaurants, especially the ones that are considered class 4, that have more of the full service restaurants, they have to have a QFO, a qualified food operator, in their establishment as they're open all the time. And they're the ones that are actually making sure that their people in the kitchens are doing the right thing. And then we come in and do our inspections to make sure that overall the operations are running the way that they should.
So who would be the qualified food operator? Is that like the manager, or who is it there?
It depends. I mean, a lot of times it may be the kitchen manager. Sometimes it may be the owner of the establishment. It just depends upon who went through the certification courses to be qualified as a QFO.
How does one become a QFO?
There's courses that they actually have to take, and they have to pass an exam to be able to be qualified. And we check that certification to make sure that somebody at all times, the restaurant's open, that there's that QFO that's overseeing that operation. Because, people can get a job and they can work in the food industry, but you always want to have somebody who's qualified to make sure that the food handling is done properly.
So do you always respond to a complaint? Like if I went out last night and I had a dinner somewhere and I said, boy, the place just looked, the restrooms were a mess, or the floor was dirty, or just, it seemed the fish or whatever seemed a little bit old. So then I could go directly to you and somebody would go there right away. It's not like I get put on a to-do list in your office?
No, generally, I mean, depending upon what's going on, I mean, like I said, we've got about a 24-hour response period, but for the most part, we get people right out there to take a look at complaints. People are our eyes and ears. So as restaurant customers and people go in there and they see a problem, we may not have been in there for a little while, or situations may have changed. So we want to respond to that when somebody sees that there is a potential problem. So our inspectors work very well that way.
If you're just joining us right now, we are speaking with our Director of Health for the Central Connecticut Health District, and this is Charlie Brown. And Charlie's going to stay with us throughout the first half of the program. Then, of course, at the second half of the show, we'll be opening up the phone lines and taking any questions or concerns or anything that you may have. But during the first half of the program, if you do have any questions for Mr. Brown, what you should probably do is give us a call. Mr. Brown's not wired up to take your calls directly. So if you have a question, call in, and they'll pass it along to us from the Master Control Room. We'll address those questions. And that's 860-667-5814. 860-667-5814. And it's live right now on NCTV 14, a little bit after 8 o'clock on April 3rd. If you're watching this at any other point in time other than a little bit after 8 o'clock on Monday night, April 3rd, that means you're not watching us live right now. But you can also send us an email at talktothemayor@nctv.org. Talktothemayor@nctv.org. So feel free to give us a call, ask any questions that you like, and they'll pass them through to us. Mr. Mayor, how is Newington doing? Are we fairly healthy? What kind of complaints do we hear?
I like to think so. You should ask the expert, though.
Well, I don't know. I figured you were. I mean, so in general, what about? I mean, we're coming into mosquito time and tick time. We've got Churchill Park. We've got Mill Pond. We got a lot of bodies of water around the place. What kind of shape are we going into for here now? We're going to April of 2017. Where are we at?
Well, right now, because of the winter that we've had, we actually have a pretty, good mix for a lot of ticks. So tick-borne diseases like Lyme disease are something that we try to keep people, protected from. And basically the way that we do that is with information, making sure that people are doing the tick checks after they've been out where ticks could be. Protecting themselves with long sleeves, long pants, those types of things. When we have weather like today, people really want to get out there and get rid of those winter doldrums and be active.
60-something degrees. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we want to make sure that people are doing that, but they're also protecting themselves from disease as well, making sure that they're checking themselves for ticks, showering at least 2 hours after they go out and play in the wildlife in the woods or something along those lines, checking their animals to make sure that they're not bringing ticks in with them. It's a little bit of work, but it's well worth it.
Okay, so how do you do a tick check? How do you check yourself for ticks? Wait, Mr. Mayor, you're going to be surprised.
You get a very close friend.
That or a good mirror. But just making sure that you're looking for, ticks can be very small.
Yeah.
So looking around areas like around your ankles, as they crawl up, as far as that's concerned, where they're coming from. You can have ticks that drop from the trees, so checking around your neckline and things of that nature is also very important. But making sure that if you do find a bite, that you can follow up with it. Lyme disease is very prevalent in Connecticut, where Lyme started. So making sure that if you have that bullseye tick bite, it's very distinctive, that you follow up with your physician to make sure that you can be tested, and then if you do have Lyme disease, ultimately treated so that they can take care of it.
So it actually looks like a bullseye.
Yep, it does have a very distinctive bullseye red kind of a welt when that tick gets done. And if you do find engorged ticks or things like that, you can bring those to the health department. We actually do send them into the state laboratory so that they can be tested. We have that happen all the time. We test ticks that are found on humans. They don't generally test ticks that are found on animals. So if you find one on your dog or your cat or any other animal, if it hasn't been engorged, from a human, we're not really sending those in.
Excuse me. Just explain engorged.
Engorged. So when a tick bites you, it actually has a blood meal. So it actually will get bigger and engorged.
Okay.
And so it'll puff up.
Okay.
So if it's flat, it's what they say hasn't been engorged, and generally that's a safe type. But if they have been engorged, we want to make sure that those get off of the person and they actually get sent in for testing, so that if somebody does contract Lyme disease, they have the opportunity to be treated as early as possible.
What's the best way to get them out of you if you got one?
Usually tweezers.
Yeah.
So a pair of tweezers, grab them right by the head, and then try to work them out as far as that's concerned. People have used matches and things like that, and that's generally not a good idea.
Nail polish?
I haven't heard nail polish as far as that's concerned. Tweezers is probably the best
Because
way
I guess
to go.
they say like the alcohol from the good.
Yeah, there's a lot of old remedies as far as that's concerned, but the best way that we've found is just that nice pair of tweezers, pull them out, and then go ahead and send them in for testing.
Now, are you testing both wood ticks and deer ticks, or just the deer ticks?
Just the deer ticks, because they're the ones that have been known to transmit Lyme disease.
Okay.
So dog ticks, things like that, they don't transmit. And we have information on our website that can show as far as identification and information along those lines.
What's your website?
It's www.cthd.org.
Okay, let's do that one more time.
Okay, one more time,
Yep.
slow. www.cthd.org.
Okay.
Very useful website. I've consulted it on occasions.
Yeah, maybe we can get that up on the screen at some point in time. www.cthd.org. And you go there if you have any specific questions. What do you do? I mean, Lyme disease from old Lyme, right? Is that where they first discovered this whole thing?
Yep.
So where does it, what happens? Is that like a permanent thing, Lyme disease, or how does it go?
For a form of rheumatism, I believe.
Yeah, it does. It is something that they can treat, and they're working on treatment. There's a little bit of debate right now whether you can have chronic Lyme disease, but they have had people that have been diagnosed with that. But Lyme disease is basically something that you can treat. So that's why we really emphasize testing, emphasize making sure that people actually check themselves for ticks, because sometimes they may get bitten and not really know. So if you're out there in the wild, make sure that that becomes part of your routine. And we were talking before, there's a lot of things that you can do as far as to protect yourself. People put their socks over their pants if they're going to be walking out in the field, so that those ticks have a harder time to climb in. They're not just climbing up your pant leg. I've seen people that have actually gone so far as to duct tape their pant legs down so that they don't have that access point, and especially for people who work a lot in fields, landscapers, those types of folks, they really do need to take the precautions and protect themselves. As I mentioned, it's going to be a banner year for ticks this year, just because we've had such a mild winter. They're already out there trying to feed.
Wow. So dogs and everything should have their flea and tick collars on by now?
Oh yeah, now's the time to start to protect them because they follow that warp cycle, and we've had a really warm winter.
What's the best thing to put on dogs? You see all kinds of pills they can take and ointments and collars, and what do you?
Well, I mean, I would talk to your veterinarian because that's the best bet, so they can give you the best, the current protection out there. Situations have changed. They actually have pills and things now that animals can take that can protect them from a variety of things, ticks, fleas, mosquitoes. So there's a lot of different products out there. So talking to your veterinarian, depending upon what the risks are, they can help protect your animals and ultimately you as well.
What about permethrin and DEET for people?
DEET, absolutely. So DEET is a type of
It's a repellent.
Like a spray?
Yeah, spray.
Okay, like off?
The off usually has DEET, and some of the other brands of mosquito repellents have DEET. That's really important from a mosquito standpoint. So.
And, for ticks, too, I was reading somewhere, and I don't remember where. It was probably online, so you know it's true. These lint rollers with an adhesive outer layer are recommended just to run over your clothes after you come inside, and if there's a tick on the outside, the adhesive will pick it up.
Yep.
Like a regular lint roller?
Yeah. Yep. And that does work if they're not attached.
All right.
So a lot of times you'll come in and they may be on your sleeve. Like if I'm wearing a black shirt like I am now, it's going to be difficult to find that tick. So doing a lint roller can actually catch them along those lines. It's really important though, as you're disrobing, as you're getting ready for bed, you're coming in, you're changing after being out there in the fields. Take off, change your clothes, make sure that you check yourself out, take a shower, within 2 hours afterwards, and hopefully you'll be good to go.
Yeah.
So regularly, if you're going to be outside, always a shower within 2 hours of when you get back?
Yeah, that's recommended because that way, you have a tendency to wash them off. You have an opportunity within that 2 hours to check, make sure that you didn't, happen to pick up a tick on your way around.
Is something that we could post? I mean, like if if we wanted to post something up at Young Farm on a bulletin board up there, is there like a one sheet that we can put up there that
Poster or something like that?
We have a lot of information on our website, so I would just encourage people to go to our website to get information about ticks as a whole. There's a lot of different strategies that you can use to prevent tick bites.
Oh, yeah. I've tried most of them.
Well, you're always out hiking and doing that.
The one time I failed, I had to go through the 10-day antibiotic regimen.
Really?
Because it was a deer tick. And this was in the days when that was the protocol for treatment. Now they'll wait and see if the bullseye develops.
Okay.
Back when I had the deer tick, it was start the antibiotics right away.
Wow. Now, the deer ticks are the ones you can hardly see, right?
That's right.
They're very tiny.
Very tiny until they puff up, till they get engorged. And by that point, it's too late. You better. And not every deer tick, though, carries Lyme disease, which is why you need to send them in for testing.
Yeah.
Which is something I had found out. I didn't realize that.
Well, where are we at with mosquitoes this year? That's another big thing.
That's what I was going to ask, too.
Mosquitoes are something that we battle every year. And the big news that we had last year was a Zika virus.
Yeah.
And luckily here in Connecticut, we don't have the type of mosquitoes that actually carry the Zika virus. So for the most part, we lucked out with respect to that. But we do have West Nile virus and Eastern equine encephalitis that's pretty endemic throughout the state of Connecticut. So you will find those types of diseases that get carried by mosquitoes. So people do need to protect themselves. Making sure that, now as we're doing kind of our spring cleaning of our properties, making sure that the standing water around our properties are taken care of, dumping those lids out from the garbage cans, making sure that there's no places for, as the weather warms up, for those mosquitoes to breed. That really goes a long way for helping to protect your family and your community, is to take care of those things right now. As it gets warmer and the mosquitoes start to come out, using those products like DEET, making sure that you're protecting yourself at the time when the mosquitoes are most active. And the mosquitoes that carry West Nile virus, they're dawn and dusk feeders. So when you're out there in the morning, you're getting that morning run in, the mosquitoes are coming for you, that's when you're most vulnerable. Or at night when you're taking your evening walk before you get ready for bed, that's when the mosquitoes are coming for you. So make sure that you're wearing that long sleeve shirt, make sure that you're protecting yourself, having less places for the mosquitoes to bite you, using that DEET repellent, and then making sure that, you can take care of yourself along those lines.
Well, we know when you're, get hit by a mosquito and the itching and all that obvious stuff that we know, but if you do, let's say you miss a tick, okay? And what are some of the signs that maybe you should go to a doctor? Is it joint pain, or what is it that means it may be some form of Lyme disease? What would you feel like?
A lot of times it's more feverish type things. You do get a little joint pain. Malaise is part of it as well. So you do want to follow up with the doctor. Most of the time, like Roy had said, if you see that bullseye type of bite, that's going to be key for you to actually go make sure that you get checked out. But if you're really not feeling well as a whole, go to your physician. They can help to identify these things and to be able to test you properly. And that's going to be one of the things they're going to talk to you. Have you been bitten by a tick recently? Has it developed that bullseye mark on it, so that they can help to diagnose and say, well, you probably may have contracted Lyme. Let's go ahead and test you. If you test positive, we'll start you on treatment.
That's one of the advantages of living in Connecticut is the physicians here know Lyme disease.
Right.
And it wasn't that case in other areas of the country.
No, absolutely.
Now the awareness is spread not only through New England, but also through most of the eastern seaboard, if not beyond.
And that's unfortunate because that means that Lyme has spread.
Yes.
So they've had the opportunity to be exposed to the disease both physically and as they're diagnosing. So they have actually learned that. If you look at the maps around Lyme disease and how it's grown out, as you said, it's pretty much the eastern seaboard almost down into the Carolinas now. Yeah. And it's over into New York and beyond as well. So it just continually grows that way. And a lot of it really goes down to the vectors. So the deer ticks are there, so there's more deer around. There's more opportunity for the deer ticks to actually spread from place to place.
Now, what about, do you deal with rabies?
Yep, we deal with the rabies as well. Not very often, luckily, but we do get calls on rabies. We work very closely with the animal control officers in each one of our towns. When they have something that they see a rabid animal or somebody had a dog or animal that got bit by a wild animal, we'll actually go ahead and if we can catch the animal, we'll actually have it tested for rabies. Luckily, we don't get a lot of those types of calls. We do probably maybe 4 or 5 a year that we actually see exposure, and we have to send out for testing and start prophylaxis treatment for.
Yeah. What's the most common rabies vector around here? Is it skunks or raccoons?
Raccoons, probably. You see a lot of raccoons in this area. Last year we had a raccoon attack in Newington. So, raccoons, and the key is any wild animal like that can carry rabies. So you really want to be careful. You want to make sure that you're looking at the behavior for an animal. If it's a nocturnal animal like a raccoon and you see it out in the middle of the day and it's not acting the way that you think it should, stay away from it. Call the animal control officer. Let them know so that they can be aware of the situation. They'll try to trap it. They'll try to get it to where it's not going to transmit that disease further. So we see occasionally bats. That we actually test for rabies as well.
Really?
But skunks, raccoons are generally probably the most prevalent that we see in this area.
I was going to say, encouraging the bat population through bat houses, it was a natural way to combat mosquitoes, but not if they're going to give you rabies.
Right. Well, I mean, it's a balance, as in all things.
Yeah.
Now, you're also responsible for, I would imagine, for going out and checking the schools and checking out everything else as far as the cafeterias go, restaurants, everything to make sure that all the food is up to snuff.
Yep, our sanitarians do that work in all 4 of our towns.
How often are they out there looking at things like that?
Every day.
Really?
Every day. So our sanitarians are out there doing inspections, following up on complaints. They're our basic field staff and the foundation of public health in our 4 towns. They work very hard. They're very good professionals at what they do. So they follow up on these things and do those preventative inspections every day.
How do we measure up to the surrounding towns?
We do pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in general, like I said, I mean, the folks that are out there in the restaurants, they're doing the right thing. We come in and we actually check just to make sure that they're doing that right thing every day. But you know, I have 5 sanitarians to cover all the restaurants in all of our four towns. So they're pretty busy folks, and they also check on things like swimming pools, nail salons, hair salons, barber shops.
Really?
We regulate and license all of those facilities. Coming up here into the warmer weather, we're going to be doing pool inspections like crazy coming up here before Memorial Day.
So pool inspections, you mean the public pools?
Yep.
You're not coming into my yard?
Not into your yard, no.
Okay.
But I've heard you have great pool parties. But
No, not my yard. No. That's the mayor.
Yeah, right.
Wild Z party. Yeah.
No, but we actually do all the public facilities as far as that's concerned, whether that be hotel pools, the town public pools. We inspect those and make sure that they're safe. We actually do all the pools that are in any public area, so condo associations, things of that nature. Our sanitarians will be out there opening them up, making sure that they're ready to go for Memorial Day when they have the season open, and we license them and make sure that they follow up on any issues that they have.
Mr. Mayor, how about as far as Parks and Rec? What do we do? Like with the fields, as far as preventative measures against ticks and things like that, do we do sprays anymore?
No, I really don't think so. I think we let nature take its course.
So we don't get into a
those,
lot of chemicals and all that kind of stuff.
You want to stay as green as possible. I think best way is to get the right kind of
Fertilizer?
no, birds. Guinea hens, for example, feed on ticks.
He knows anything with birds. Guinea hens?
Yeah, guinea fowl eat. They're noisy critters, but they eat ticks. I think so do turkeys and chickens.
Well, what about as long as we're doing birds with the mayor? Birds always come into our conversations with the mayor. What are we doing? What about geese? And all the waste they leave around and everything. How are we doing? I know we've been having a lot of problems with geese through the years in Newington, right?
They're migrating now, so that's why you're seeing them at Mill Pond Park, and it's their rest stop. So a few will hang around and nest, but most of them will head south.
Yeah, because I know the golf course gets destroyed.
Or rather north this time of year. Yeah.
Because that can create all kinds of other infections and everything else.
Yeah, but I mean, the good thing is that they do generally move through, as far as that's concerned. If they were resident populations at the level that we see in migration, we'd have a lot bigger issues to contend with.
Yeah.
But, generally migratory birds will move their way through. Waste gets watered down by the rain and everything that we have in the springtime. And generally, we don't see many problems along those lines.
I think it's more a cosmetic problem of
not really an
play
infectious
clothes
problem.
getting mucked up and whatnot.
Right.
Oh yeah, I know. We gotta be careful. Everybody's always complaining about the geese. How do you get rid of the geese? So precaution, right?
Public health is all about prevention.
Now, is that the same as when somebody says, the more common thing you hear is, something, I'm going to call the Board of Health. Is that the same thing as what you're talking about, like what you do?
Same agency, as far as that's concerned.
That's usually the common thing you see. If I saw something, they're going to call the Board of Health.
Yeah. So the health district itself is what they call a quasi-governmental agency. So we fulfill the same responsibilities that a municipal health department would for a single town. What we do is we actually provide some economy of scale. So if each one of our towns had to pay for a health department all of its own, it would be much more expensive to have all the services that we provide. Because in addition to the sanitarian services that we have a health educator, we have a community health specialist, our assistant director for community health that looks after infectious diseases. works with diabetes and obesity, works on all kinds of things on the chronic disease side. And in addition to that, we have our public health preparedness coordinator that helps us with the plans for things like smallpox and anthrax and pandemic flu. So, you know, being in a health district allows each one of our towns to get more bang for their buck because they can get those additional services in addition to the foundational stuff that a sanitarian and regulatory staff would provide.
I'm not supposed to use the word, but I will. It's an example of regionalism that works. Again, Charlie mentioned we've got the 4 towns, similar demographics. I'm sure that's a big assist in making the system work. Newington was the last town to join. We joined in 1996 after Bob Cosgrove, who was the town sanitarian at the time, retired. And at that time, it made sense to sign on with the district, and really haven't looked back. Really haven't looked back.
So if I have a concern about a place, and can I come into your office and see if there's complaints?
No,
Can
absolutely.
I say, listen, I went to so-and-so's restaurant, have there been complaints filed against them? So
Absolutely.
it's almost like a freedom of information type of thing?
We follow the Freedom of Information Act very critically. So any information that people want, they can come to our offices, put in an FOI request, and we'll provide that information for them. We make sure that our inspection reports and everything are filed, you know, so that we can follow up on those types of things very easily.
All right. Got everything covered, Mr. Mayor?
Well, I have, but I see Charlie has a list of dates there on
Oh, yeah, tell
front
us
of
what's going on, and then we've got to beat him up about the rest of the things in town.
Okay. Well, one of the things I wanted to make sure that everybody knew about was that starting here on April 30th, we have our 4-town walking competition.
Oh, what's that?
So here a couple years ago, the town employees of each of our 4 towns decided they would compete to see how many steps the town employees could actually go within a month, 6-week period.
Oh, okay.
And so they were competing town against town. Last year, we actually opened it up to the general public. So anybody in our 4 towns can register and log their steps from April 30th to the middle of June. And whichever town logs the most steps on their pedometers as they're out there walking in the springtime, they're going to get the high stepper trophy. So we actually have this huge trophy with a big golden shoe on the top of it, and it's a competition between the 4 towns to see how active their population can be. So we're going to start that up here April 30th. We actually have kickoff events within each of our 4 towns to provide information. We had one tonight in Rocky Hill. We've got one on April 4th in Wethersfield, one on April 5th in Berlin. So here during Public Health Week, we're making sure we get that information out. And on April 18th here in Newington at the library, we're going to have our kickoff event there so people can actually come out. They can get some more information on how to participate in this competition. And we'll actually have free pedometers so that people can start to count their steps as they're out there being active.
Like my Fitbit?
Kind of like your Fitbit, but we're giving out free ones that they can hook onto their waist and work very well as they're walking. Speaking of Fitbits, we have prizes. So individual categories of prizes so that if somebody's out there and they get the highest step count within a particular age group, we actually gave out Fitbits and we have them ready for this year as well.
That's cool.
But the key here is to make sure that people get active. Walking is one of the best ways that you can actually get out there and improve your health. Deals with obesity, chronic diseases like diabetes and cardiovascular illness, and it's something that everybody can do right from their doorstep. So we're really trying to encourage the people to get out there, take advantage of the walking competition. The last 2 years, the town of Berlin has won this. And Newington, I know from talking to the mayor that they really want to step it up.
That's right. We're going to smoke Berlin out then.
Anything else?
Well, we've also got an event, if people want to kind of get into the groove. They've got a walk at the Center Cemetery in Rocky Hill on April 29th.
Oh, wow.
That actually, we're partnered with the Historical Society in Rocky Hill. So they're going to be walking through the cemetery, giving information about the town green and some of the residents that they have at the cemetery as well, and getting some good exercise as they go on. We've been working with each one of the towns to try to have walks as they go through the year that are sponsored by the health department and town departments so that people have an opportunity to get out there, meet your neighbors, and get some exercise and activity.
Well, if you could leave that with us, perhaps, then we could put it onto our scroll on Channel 14, so when people are tuning in, they can find out about
Absolutely.
that. That's very, very cool.
So what else have we got for Charlie while we have him here?
I'm pretty good.
All right.
I'm pretty good. I just know that there's a few other things we got to cover here in town before we let you go, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, all
Been a
right.
lot of activity lately, so there are some questions.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Talk about that budget. Anyways.
Well, thank you all very much for the opportunity to
Thank
be
you.
here.
Thank you for coming, Charlie.
Good
Good
stuff.
seeing you again.
And please keep the information coming to us, and
Absolutely.
we can give you the email and everything there, and anything you send along, we'll make sure that we post it.
Okay, and I'll be
very,
happy
very
to
good.
come back anytime that y'all want to talk about public health.
Sounds good.
Got a little bit of that southern side to him. Y'all want to talk about it. So friendly, so friendly. I'd hate to get him upset. Okay, thank you very much, Charlie.
Thank you.
All right, 860-667-5814, 860-667-5814. We got about 20 minutes left to go. If you'd like to call, if you have any questions for our mayor, this is April 3rd, our first Monday in
3rd.
April, and we are live at about 20 of 9 or so.
Is that
So
what
if you
time
want
it
to give
is?
us a call, we are on the air live, 860-667-5814. You can also email us at talktothemayor@nctv.org. Talktothemayor@nctv.org. A lot of things going on in town, a lot of activity. I'm hearing about all kinds of meetings. I think there was a meeting before you came here
There were
tonight.
2 meetings before I came in tonight.
What's going on?
First was a town council meeting
Yeah.
with an executive session on real estate. And
What does that mean?
That means we were talking about real estate, but as permitted under the Freedom of Information Act.
Was that
It
town
was,
real estate or home real estate? What kind of real estate?
Real estate.
Glad we got that.
It was
squared.
executive session. Which
executive session.
yeah,
Okay, all right. That was the subject matter. That's all you can say.
That's all I can say. And it was the same thing with a joint meeting of the Board of Education and the Town Council, also an executive session on real estate.
Now, there's also some questions about budgets and have been approved or haven't been approved, and where are we at? I know.
Oh, budgets. It's that time of year. Tomorrow.
Budget. All right.
All right. Well, today is April 3rd. Tomorrow's April 4th. Tomorrow is the second mandated public hearing on the budget, on the council tentative budget for 2017-2018. If you're watching on April 3rd
Yes.
and you really want to get to this, it'll be held at 6 p.m. in the, well, they're saying conference room L101, our normal meeting room, but if there's an overflow crowd, it'll move to the auditorium.
Okay. That's tomorrow night at 6 o'clock?
6 p.m., April 4th at 6 p.m. Now, this is a charter-mandated public hearing, as I said. Charter also specifies that those who can speak must be either taxpayers or voters.
Okay, in the town of Newington.
Yeah. Any other time, anybody can speak at a council meeting. It's just that this public hearing and the one on the town manager's proposed public budget are restricted by the charter. I know there was a lot of protest about that.
Yep.
I have a town attorney's
Remember that?
opinion
Yep.
from last year. I was called names by members of the public who
Why?
got up to speak. But what
Comes with
else?
the job. We can
What
do it.
else is new? That's why you're in the big bucks.
Hey, I get called names just for being a town resident.
So that's what's happening there.
Okay.
We are going in, if I can find the sheet. It's also on the town website. Oh, is that it?
Why don't you
Oh, here it
Got
is. Here it is. I just want to tell people what we're going in at. We're looking right now, and this is the council tentative budget, at a increase in the mill rate from 35.75 to 36.59, a 0.84 mill increase.
What does that mean on my taxes, a mill increase? How much is a mill?
A mill is $2,344,000.
Okay, so if we go up, if we go up 1 mill rate, what is that dollar-wise?
Your tax bill is going to go up 2.4%.
Is that $100?
I don't know what your tax bill is,
Son of a gun.
so you can do the arithmetic on that.
So it'd go up to 2
Yeah, 2.4%.
okay, of what I paid
As it stands right now. I say as it stands right now because this is the hearing on the tentative budget. We don't adopt until April 18th.
Okay, 1 mil equals 1,000 of tax per 100,000 of home value.
Yeah.
Sound good?
All right.
That's what they're telling me from the other room. All right, we've got, what is it? 100 per 100,000. Okay, 100 of tax per $100,000 of home value. Right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
okay.
that's right. That's right.
And then
That's
I got to
right,
deal with the cars too. Can we grab a quick phone line?
Sure.
Got time?
We got. Oh, look who's on the line. It's
Gail
Gail
Whitney.
Whitney. All right.
Gail, we got some good stuff happening around town. Gail Whitney, of course, watches over our Chamber of Commerce. How are you tonight, Gail? Hello, Gail.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
What's coming up? Give us an idea why you're giving us a call.
I'm calling because we're having our 25th annual Home and Business Showcase on Saturday, April 22nd at the high school. And really excited, our 25th year, and we have great sponsors. ServPro of Newington, Ferrari's Appliance, and Bel Air Manor are our main sponsors. We get about 60, 70 booths, and we also do the Taste of Newington, which the show itself is from 10 to 4. The Taste of Newington is from noon to 2. And we have Cafe Louise, Envy Cafe, Puerto Vallarta, Rooster, TJ's, Costco, Subway. I can't think of who else we have. So the Taste of Newington is always a big deal. But Friday night we're really excited because we're kicking up a notch. We usually do a networking social, and we're going to have, this year we're having a jazz singer. Her name is Dana Lauren. You can see her every Saturday night at Max Downtown at 6 o'clock, and have a jazz band, and the high school's culinary class is going to do food for us again. So it's going to be a good time, Friday and Saturday night. There are tickets. You have to buy tickets for Friday night. It's $5 for chamber members, $10 for non-chamber members. So you can just go on our website or call me at the chamber office. But really want people to come out to the show on Saturday. And we still have a few booths that are available. So anybody who's interested, just give me a call.
Gail, how would you say it's, you said 60 vendors or so. We've been doing this for 25 years. How does that compare to years in the past? Are we up, down? Do we need more vendors? I mean, I'm sure we still have time if people want to get involved with the Home and Business Showcase. How are we looking this year?
It's kind of hard to hear you. You said something about how many booths we have this year. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, just how we measuring up this year as compared to years in the past.
Well, it's really grown, I'd say, over probably the last 10 years, the way we've reconfigured the gymnasium. So we usually get, as I said, between 60 and 70, I would say, depending on how we figured, because we took some booths away to do like a stage area, because we have entertainment during the day too. We have a magician, we have a singer, we have the kids from Connecticut, Ken Poe, will do a little karate presentation. So, but it's grown for the last 25 years. When Bob Newbold, the Rotary, started it way back when. It's really grown quite a bit. And I mean, the 17 years I've been with the chamber, it's been at the high school, and I know it's just grown every year.
Yeah, I'm so grateful because I remember when I first got involved with the chamber back in the 80s, and we actually took it on as the business showcase. And for the longest time, we were trying to get into the home and business showcase because, face it, very few people really want to do business on the weekend. You got to have business and home. Now you got people coming.
Absolutely.
So
that's why we have between the banks and the mortgage lenders and chiropractors, we have plumbers, electricians, hairdressers. We have a photographer this year, and window people. We got a couple window people. So that's the kind of people we want. That's why we want to make it a home and business showcase.
Yeah, window people can be a real pain.
Yeah.
Okay, Gail, when's the event going to be again? What's the date of the event again?
Saturday, April 22nd at Newington High School from 10 to 4.
Is there a website if people want to find out more?
Yep, just go to the Newington Chamber website, www.newingtonchamber.com, or we have an app now. If you go on you can get on your phone. It's Newington Now, N-O-W all in caps, and you can download it on your phone and check it out. We also have a Facebook page, so you can check. We're on everything, or just call me at the office if you have any questions.
What's the office number, Gail?
860-666-2089.
And what are the hours of the Saturday Expo? The hours again, Gail?
Is it 10?
They're 10 to, on Saturday, they're 10 to 4.
10 to 4, okay.
And then Friday night's event is from 5 to 8, and the singer will be there from 6 to 7:30.
And the Taste of Newington is 12 to 2 on Saturday, right?
And the Taste of Newington is 12 to 2.
Yeah, that's always a great one. All right, Gail,
yes.
thanks a lot.
All right, thank you.
You got it.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. 667-5814, 667-5814. We're going to stay with the phones and go to Gary on line 2. He has a question about the executive session, and I know you can only answer so much about the
That's
executive
right.
session, but Gary, what's your question about tonight?
Hi, this is Gary.
Yes.
I have a question for the mayor.
Go ahead.
Hi, Gary.
Go ahead, Gary, we got you.
And that question is that it leaked out that the executive session tonight was a discussion on buying St. Mary's School by the Board of Education. And I want to know how the Board of Education can even entertain buying St. Mary's School and then claim that they're going to have to lay off all these teachers.
Is this something you can comment on?
This is not something I can comment on, Gary. Unfortunately, it's executive session material, and at this point, until it's brought to a public agenda by either the council or the Board of Ed, I have to respect the law on it.
I understand that.
Okay.
All right, Gary, thanks for the call. 860-667-5814, 860-667-5814. And actually, we always have to respect the mayor and his different meetings, and the executive session is just that. And I'm sure if it's something that goes a little bit bigger, then it'll come up into a public discussion, right?
That's right. I'm sure it will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. It's no secret. Things have been talked about on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
The potential fate of St. Mary's School. There's some fear-mongering going on now, saying it's going to become a shelter for homeless adult men who will rob and plunder all of Newington. Yes, along with some pillaging, too.
Oh, have to have pillaging, yes.
The only thing is that there's this complication known as the Town Plan and Zoning Board before the even before the Business Expo. I saw this on Scott Griskowski's What's Happening in Newington page and thought I'd share, because I think there may be a few people in town who don't subscribe to that. But there's going to be a coffee with a cop at the Starbucks in the center on Main Street, Wednesday, April 19th. 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. Just join your neighbors and police officers for coffee and conversation.
And where's this going to be?
The Starbucks.
Which one?
Up on Main Street.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, next to
we got 3 of them now, you know.
Next to Stretch's Pizza.
We got 3 Starbucks
I
now.
know.
We covered the whole town with them.
You betcha. We're caffeine end to end.
All right, so what's the date
they
of
say Wednesday, April 19th, 2017, 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. And it says, join your neighbors and police officers for coffee and conversation. No agenda speeches, just a chance to ask questions, voice concerns, get to know the officers in your neighborhood. So that would be a great opportunity for people.
What day of the week is it again?
Wednesday.
A Wednesday from when to when?
Wednesday, April 19th.
From when to when?
8:30 to 9:30 a.m.
Maybe go into work a little bit later and find out.
Yeah.
That would be a good thing.
Yeah, it'd be a good thing just to stop by, say hello.
Yeah, to meet some of the officers. You know,
Yeah.
speaking of the officers, there was a great the Kiara McDermott basketball tournament the other night.
Yeah, I couldn't make that one.
Oh, I saw you with Super Hoopla.
I was at Hoopla,
Yeah,
but I couldn't
the week
make
before.
McDermott. Yeah. Hoopla is always looks to me like organized chaos.
It is, thanks to Sandy Pills and his team.
But Sandy Pills knows exactly what he's doing. He's got the routine down.
It's like the brackets for the NCAA,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Oh, well, we can't talk about women's NCAA.
No, we're not going to do that. No.
Because we are in mourning over that. We was robbed.
Well, it happens. That's another topic for another
All
show.
good things must come to an end, I guess.
Yep. So, yeah, we want to thank everybody. Super Hoopla, the Youth Adult Council does that. It was really a great fundraiser
that was fun.
for scholarships here in town. And also the Kiara McDermott Scholarship Fund. They raised some good money the following week with that. Good stuff. And it's great to see the town all turn out like that. But it was great this year because for a while the police were not involved with the basketball game. And now the police are in there with the students and with the teachers. And it's a fun night.
Yeah. And the pizza they were selling was very good.
Oh, pizza's always good.
Well, I have had bad pizza. Their pizza for Hoopla was very good.
Good. All right. Good answer. I'm glad you're out there doing some research. What else do we need to be aware of that's going on in April? Anything else?
Well, ordinarily council meetings are on second and fourth Tuesdays. Here in April, the second Tuesday is the 11th, and that's the first day of Passover.
Okay.
So the business that would have been transacted then is actually going to be transacted before tomorrow's public hearing on April 4th. It's going to be, I hope, a light agenda. We've got 3 old business items and 1 new business item, and we're not planning on any appointments or anything else, and we do need to wrap. It's going to be at 5 p.m. in the council meeting room, L101, and we'll have to wrap up by 6 because that's when the public hearing begins. And after the public hearing is a special meeting for any changes to the tentative budget. And again, that's if needed. So we'll see how the public hearing goes, see what the council wants to do, and take it from there.
And things are looking good as far as making some progress with the town hall as far as the renovation goes, right?
Yes and no. The architect's latest is still about $5 million over budget, so they've got to do some revision on the design. They need direction from the building committee. That process will get started probably this Wednesday.
A lot of good
and
stuff.
Again, NCTV is broadcasting those meetings, the Town Hall Renovation Committee.
Well, I got to tell you, I want to thank everybody, especially thank all of our volunteers here in the studio and then back in Master Control.
Here.
Because without them, we couldn't get any of this done. And I always like to remind people that the last Thursday of each month is generally an open meeting that we have here at NCTV 14, 7 o'clock, the last Thursday of each month. If you have an idea, if you'd like to volunteer, if you'd like to come up with an idea for a program of your own, we'll help you learn everything about running the equipment. I'm not allowed to touch the equipment. There are actually people in those back rooms that know how to run it all, and we can help you learn. And
Mike Rosenkrantz is back there now whispering into our ear, telling us we have 90 seconds left.
Yes. I always have to
Pay
keep
no
us,
attention to that man behind the curtain.
always have to keep us on track. That's what it's all
That's
about.
right.
And we'll be back again on the first Monday of May, and I'm sure that you can bring us up to speed with some more stuff that's going on.
I hope so.
And in general, you're feeling better. I see you walking with a little bit of a limp, but you're doing okay?
Knock on wood, yeah. Every day a little bit stronger, a little bit stronger. And,
When are you going to announce if you're running again, or is it public
I've
knowledge?
already submitted my letter to get the endorsement from the town committee.
Okay, so you're going to do another round.
I'm going to
Going
try
to give
for
it your
one
best
more.
shot.
One more shot, you bet. I'm going to try for it.
Well, we certainly wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Hope it goes well.
Thank you.
I thank you very much. I'm glad to see you back.
Always a pleasure.
Glad
Always a
to
pleasure.
see you. And again,
Guys behind the cameras, thank you very much.
all right, and our next show will be May 1st at 7 p.m.
That's a May Day.
All right, May
May
1st
Day,
at 7
May
p.m.
Day.
We'll be back here on NCTV 14. Did I get that right, Mike? Yeah, let's hope so.
All right.
Okay. All right. That's going to do it for this show. I'm Steve Parker. He's your mayor, Roy Zartarian. And we'll see you next time on Talk to the Mayor on Channel
we
14.
go.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.